Hey, everybody, and welcome to Notes from the Other Side. This is a podcast for people who love Jesus but have some real concerns about Christianity. Here at Notes, we take a microscope to some of Christianity's thornier topics and people using a progressive theological lens and a socio-historical approach to studying the Bible. So if that sounds like your jam, come on in and have a seat. But buckle up, it might get bumpy. Folks, welcome back to Notes from the Other Side. This is a podcast where we take a microscope to some of Christianity's thornier topics and people. I'm your host, Tiziana, Mom So Hard Subverse, and we are not going to be tackling a brand new and exciting and wild and crazy, deep, dark theological issue today because I do not have my intrepid co-host, Rick Welch, nor are we with Andy Bishop in Giraffe Studios. But we are coming to you today with a very special guest, a good friend of mine. We go to church together at Land of Sky. And you guys have been listening to this podcast for a while. You've heard us talk about this new congregation. But I'm really excited to introduce my friend, April Chips. April, how's it going?
Your guess is as good as mine, Tiziana. Your guess is as good as mine.
It's a wild time. It's a wild time to be alive, isn't it?
I don't know how I'm doing ever.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. Just flip a coin.
I'll let you know when I find out, but I'm probably going to be the last to know.
Well, April, this episode came about because you and I were having a conversation recently about a very interesting experience that you had. And
Well,
for me, growing up fundamentalist kind of Christian, the experience that you had touched on some of the old like childhood trauma, growing up evangelical, high control religion, all
my
things secular.
condolences.
Oh my gosh. Like I remember literally like taking a hammer to all my secular CDs because the devil was in them, Like I grew up in a denomination where if you had a wedding at that church, you were not allowed to have the reception there because dancing was against the laws of God. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I get
So
it. I don't get
yeah.
it at all.
You don't. Yeah. It's one of those things like but honestly, if you didn't grow up in that world, which is like a little bit insane, like it when you hear it, it sounds wild. But yeah,
You
you
can
you
have a
couldn't
little bit of insanity as a treat.
as a treat, yeah, but not
Yeah.
necessarily your main diet, which it was
Yeah, not the
for
main
me.
diet. Absolutely not. That's bad for your health.
Yeah. So you had this really cool experience, which was the kind of thing that when I was a child would have been like on the number one list of do not do's. And
Oh, yeah.
I want to talk to you about it.
Well, so like for some additional context, I want to speak for both of us. I don't want to assume, but I'm gonna say we's and the broader we for our faith community. We're getting ready to do a camping trip in a few
I know.
weeks. It's
I'm
gonna
very
be in
excited.
August. Are you going?
Okay, so we're gonna go Saturday, and we're gonna camp Saturday night, and then we will skedaddle on Sunday with everybody else. So we'll be there for like 2/3 of the trip.
Cool. So we're talking about a church camping trip,
Yeah,
which
good, clean fun.
I'm not trying to talk bad on it at all when I say
Huh.
it's going to be a boring camping trip. Like I'm
Yeah,
excited for it. There's like a
yeah,
place to swim. It's going to
yeah,
be fun, but for the sake of the podcast or,
yeah,
it's a boring camping trip. I mean it endearingly.
yeah. We're gonna be like making friendship bracelets and shit. There's gonna be s'mores. Good,
Yeah.
clean fun.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it. But,
It's
I
gonna be great.
know that yes, but I know that the people, listening to your podcast, well, I don't know, but I'm just assuming that they're looking for, some
Oh yeah,
action in the
that
story,
particular
maybe.
camping trip. Yeah, that camping trip's not gonna make the cut. That nobody wants to
It
hear
probably
about
won't
that.
make the
You
cut.
know?
So
No.
this summer I went on an 8-day camping trip that was different, and I want to talk
Mhm.
about it
Yeah.
in detail because I think that this trip, the 8-day
Mhm.
camping trip, um, in its own charming way, embodies radical Christianity, or
I love that.
the not the evangelical stuff that you grew up with and are
Sure.
traumatized by, but the like Jesus flipping the tables on the powers
Yeah.
and feeding the hungry, healing the sick,
Yeah.
all that
Yeah.
jazz.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
the good
anti-establishment
stuff.
Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is interesting because so just to jump the gun a little bit, you went to a rainbow gathering.
Yes, and it's a local one that happens each year. And
Uh-huh.
for those of you listening, you're probably in one of three camps. You either have no idea what we're talking about when we talk about a rainbow gathering, or you know, and you're all about it, or you hate it. You hate the idea of it. You've heard some things. I don't want to make any assumptions. I'm not
No,
trying
and
to
so
sell anyone
no, no,
on
but this is
anything.
good because so growing up as a child, right? Like
Mhm,
rainbow gatherings and those kinds of things, those were like definitely labeled hippie festivals where there's nothing but like drugs and predators. And that's the kind of thing that as young burgeoning, Christians,
mhm.
teenagers, we were cautioned against these kinds of things. So when you mentioned that the 8 gay camping trip, when you like casually mentioned that it was a rainbow gathering, I was like, "Oh my god, it's the big no-no thing."
It
So
started
I'm
playing, like,
right.
backward Latin music of
Oh yeah.
demons and the devil and
Oh, sure. Yeah,
the
like there
Antichrist.
was bloodletting involved, I'm sure. You were lighting
Oh,
candles and
yes.
and praying Wiccan prayers. But see,
There
that's
will be
exactly
blood.
it. Mhm. So tell me so this is why I'm interested and why I think maybe some of the listeners might be interested. So, if you like you said, you're 3 camps of people, people who have no idea what the F we're talking about,
Yeah.
people who have been and are like, "Oh my god, this is great," and people who have been and are like, "This sucks." So I'm definitely in that first camp. All I know is that it was something that was frowned upon in my church community, which of course now as an adult means I wanna know all about it. Everything that my church frowned upon, I've now dived headfirst
Yeah.
into, except
So
for this.
I don't wanna be, like, downplaying any of those categories as, like,
Mhm.
fringe opinions because there are, a lot of people with very valid concerns about, how these gatherings operate,
Yeah.
especially people who live near them
Mhm.
or, people who are concerned with some of the, aspects that come up,
Sure.
uh, such as like cultural appropriation or like just the
Mhm.
lack of accountability of a bunch of people in the woods. And I want to draw a distinction. There are very large rainbow gatherings that
Mhm.
happen where thousands of people will go to a place in the national forest for the
Mhm.
first week of July.
Mhm.
And while there are the positive elements that I'm going to talk about, I'm not a big fan or advocate of these. I think that all these people coming into a natural environment like this,
Yeah.
it overthrows the carrying capacity of the environment. It creates permanent disruptions for the wildlife.
Yeah.
Um, it's a lot having
Right.
all of these people come in, especially people who might not know as much of what they're doing ecologically, culturally, whatever.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who come in with the intention like, I'm gonna have fun, I'm gonna do drugs, I'm gonna, you know,
Partied up.
um, I'm gonna party it up, I'm gonna
Yeah.
meet a lover,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm gonna
Yeah.
dance naked in the woods.
Right.
And I
Would you put Burning Man in that category?
I don't really have any formal experience with Burning Man. I know
Yeah.
people who do,
Uh-huh.
but I'm gonna say that, like, this is very different than, what people know of, like, music festivals and stuff. It's, in some ways, a lot more interesting and a lot more boring. There are not headliners, there aren't it's not
Yeah, what do you
fast.
do there
Hmm?
for 8 days? Like, what do you do for 8 days? You
Well,
just
it's not everyone coming for 8 days. Some people come for longer, some people come for shorter. I'm gonna start
yeah.
with longer because there's a lot of groundwork that goes into something like this. Let's say a month or 2 ahead of the time, they start mapping out the site.
Mhm.
There's gonna be probably not gonna be walking paths where you need to go. So, they're gonna be finding, like, hey, what are the best and most efficient ways to, like bushcraft our way through here?
How many
Where can we
people?
set up initial main kitchen, which I'll go into later?
Yeah.
Where can we set up amenities like a slit trench for people to use the bathroom? What are, the things going on? Can we map the navigation? Because chances are you're not going to be able to just put in the coordinates for where this is and get like accurate directions.
Wow.
You're
Yeah.
going to have people who are going in and out and knowing the nuances of like the forest roads
Mhm.
and the local area to be like, yeah, the local GPS directions say this, but it's actually
Mhm.
this. If you do this, you're going to get lost.
Yeah.
um and, this is generally done sort of on the under the radar of, like, local law enforcement in forest,
Mhm.
um, service.
Yeah.
Um, you know, they catch on at a point and they come and see what's going on, but we're not there yet.
Right.
Um, you have a scouting team
Uh-huh.
and they're figuring out the basics.
Yeah.
Then you have people to come in who, again, they are very much camping adults. They have been doing this for a long time.
Mhm.
You could call them elders.
Oh, yeah.
They come in and they will figure out the parking. They'll start to set up what will become a main kitchen in the middle of the woods.
Mhm.
They'll set up irrigation, which involves finding a near water source like a waterway or a creek. And when you know where the waterways are, you also have to be considerate of, for ecological and safety
Sure.
purposes. You don't want to dig a bathroom, a slit
No.
trench within a few hundred feet of a waterway. You don't want to do you don't want to have certain kitchen things within
Yeah.
a certain distance of a waterway. You don't want
Yeah.
people peeing within a certain distance of a
Yeah.
waterway.
Yeah.
Like,
You don't wanna be
eh
dumping grease and kitchen chemicals into the waterway either. So there's a lot of
yeah.
infrastructure involved. So it's not just okay. So then what?
Sometimes at these events, there will be several kitchens. You could attend one of these events with, your whole community. You could come in a caravan and set up your own camp and set up a kitchen that's
Yeah.
independent, and you'll be able to piggyback off of the expertise and resources that are there, and a
Wow.
lot of people do this.
Yeah.
It's a thing that's done.
Yeah.
Generally, with these local gatherings, there's one
Uh-huh.
main kitchen. There isn't enough people to really have multiple kitchens, but sometimes there are. Um, I would say I've been to about I didn't do a count, but I'd say about 10 of these style events
Wow.
since 2015. Um, and,
That's a lot.
yeah, and, I've gotten to a point where, like, the charm of it has sort of wore off, and I've gone through a phase where I hate everything it stands for, and then I'm like, "I wanna go back." I miss so I feel like I'm at a good place to give, like, a
Yeah.
balanced n experience,
Sure.
testimony, if you
Yeah,
will,
yeah.
but Um, what a main kitchen might look like is you have some really big tarps, overhanging on trees to just keep the rain out. Sometimes they're as big as like 100 feet by 100 feet, and I don't
That's
know how they get
crazy.
them up there. They would have to bring like ladders in and like they get them pretty high up and
Oh my.
so
You see, I'm literally just thinking about, like, the logistics of what this does to the ecosystem if you're bringing in these, like, 100-foot tarps and setting me like
so they do a really this style of community does a really good job at cleaning up at the end and leaving no trace. Um, an astounding job at it, but we're not there yet.
okay,
So,
okay,
under the tarps, one tarp might be a place for people to hang out. They could put out camping chairs. It's just dry. If it's like pouring rain, which
yeah,
this one that I went to a couple weeks ago was in Nantahala National Forest, which
uh-huh,
is sort of between Georgia, Tennessee, and Western North Carolina.
yeah,
It rains a lot.
mhm,
It's temperate rainforest. Um, it's hard to dry stuff. And when
mm,
you get like clothes and tapestries wet and you don't dry them and they're exposed to the ground, you can get bot flies laying eggs in them.
yeah,
And it's a mess.
it's a whole
Uh,
mess.
so there will be a common area for people to hang out, and it's like big enough that you can cram in and stay dry. Um, Then there's another area which will have, in this case, there were a lot of propane burner stoves. There were
Mhm.
fold up tables. At other events, they will make countertops out of uh, tree limbs. They'll rope them together, and it's really beautiful.
Like
It's really
Robinson
impressive.
Crusoe up in here. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And no matter how well planned it is and how it's almost like the kitchen is never fully level.
Yeah, I'm sure,
Work in a kitchen
sure.
like that is an
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's like the coconut radio from Gilligan's Island. You like, you you get what you get here.
yeah,
But that's
and
still pretty cool.
yeah, and you'd be surprised of the quality of food that is prepared and the safety standards that are used in preparing food in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, in under 100-foot tarp strung up through the trees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hand washing is a big thing. Generally, this is done with diluted bleach water.
Uh-huh.
Um, and there will be a cooler that somebody has Sharpied with X's and really
Yeah, don't
weird
drink,
looking
just
skulls being
wash
like,
hands.
"Don't drink, hand wash." Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. We don't want you to drink the bleach water. And they'll also have rules like don't touch your thing to the thing. Like when you're
yeah,
filling up
yeah,
your personal water canteen, don't
mhm.
touch the thing to the thing
Sure,
because that's how things happen.
that's right, and
And
that's how things spread.
it might sound very, vague and like, "What?" But it makes sense. Just
Yeah,
trust the process. Don't touch your
mhm,
thing to the thing. That's how things happen. People will sometimes bring dogs. They will bring, the whole family. There
yeah,
are lots of kids, and there are also a lot of people who go who are unhoused, they're foster care graduates, they're in various
mhm,
stages of recovery or addiction, and we're able to
yeah,
foster a space where, like, these different groups can exist in a level of, like, safety, and I think the big factor there is not having the factor of money. Your money's no good there.
mm, mhm,
With the exception of if you wanna throw down some money for the kitchen, because they
yeah,
do, bulk grocery runs and,
sure,
you can't completely eliminate the factor of money, but
on
if you
that
don't have
spot,
any
but
money, if you just show up with nothing but the clothes on your back,
yeah,
or not even that, the people there are gonna make sure that you're taken care of. They're gonna be make sure that you have a place to sleep, that you're fed, that
mhm.
you're, cared for, that you're treated like a human being.
Is that
And it
ethic across the board? Because you said you've been to about 10 festivals,
They're not
and they've all been
festivals.
or not festivals, but, like,
Yeah.
these camping trips, yeah, these is that an ethic across the board?
So, outside of that,
Yeah,
I've had a period of my life where I've traveled a lot. I've been a vagabond. I've greyhounded. I've hitchhiked. I had a very I don't want to say unstable period of my life, but I call it the
mhm,
rabbit hole period. And over
mhm,
that time, I've done long distance cross country walks where I've walked
mhm,
across states with groups and
mhm,
walked across 14 states. In terms of just these gatherings, or in
mhm.
terms of just states that I've personally been, I think it's up to 34 states.
Wow.
For this specifically, I don't have a count, but I could think, Michigan, Vermont, Florida, North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee. I think
But even
that's
that's a pretty far breadth, and you're saying that this ethic of, like, everybody come,
Mhm,
whatever state you're in,
mhm.
whether you're housed or unhoused, wherever your emotional state, you're welcome. We're gonna feed you. You're gonna camp for 8 days, and everything's gonna be okay.
Now, that being said, you have brought up the concern of, like, what about predators? What about people with, like, bad intentions? And the reality is when you go camping in the woods, it's
Mm,
easy to, like, think about the fear of cryptids and monsters in the woods. The
yeah,
worst monsters are other people. And
exactly.
I the short answer is that the culture that generally is around these gatherings is very
Mhm.
matriarchal. There are people who have, like,
Mm.
gone for decades, to, events like this, and they know how to navigate it, they know how to look out for people, and generally, the people who do, like, come, they have been around,
Yeah,
and, it's not saying, like, stay away from that person at all costs. But it's like, people know how others operate and it's
yeah.
slower paced. You're out there for sometimes up to, a week or two with
Mhm.
these people and you get to know each other.
Yeah.
And uh, for every person who may show up that might have like bad, or I don't want to say bad intentions. I don't want to think of it as like evil or malice,
No,
but
sure.
just people are
Wounded parts of
sometimes
themselves that are at the forefront, you know?
Yeah, they're not integrated with their shadow, they're
Yeah.
lost, they, like,
Mhm.
don't quite understand the ramifications of their actions. For every person who's in that place, you're probably gonna have 5 more that are looking out for you and the
Yeah.
safety of you and your family, it's just a different dynamic. It is not a music festival, it is different from,
Like, there was a couple of years ago, in the wake of the Me Too movement where, people that were, doing, like, psytrance festivals, like
Mhm.
Transformists and stuff, and having these big parties, they started doing this whole thing where they started, um appointing sentinels, and that was the name, was sentinels. And at these festivals, there were certain people that was their job to be the sentinel, kind of like manning the perimeter, manning the dance floor, making sure that consent was involved,
Yeah.
making sure everything was off. And everyone was like, "Yeah, we're really proud of ourselves that we're taking care of that." And I'm like, "Fuck off. The fact that you had to make that element in the first place points to the problem." Like,
Yeah.
and
And
so that's why I've, like, always had this, like, strong knee-jerk reaction. Part of it is my, like, fundamentalist Christian upbringing that's like, these
mhm.
places and these environments are dangerous, and then the other part of it is, like, the fact that even within that community, they're like, "Oh, yeah, we're gonna have sentinels be around to make sure that nobody's being abused," and you're like, "But the fact that you had to have that is the problem."
We're gonna have safety adults around to make sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
But that's also me
beyond
being a little bit judgmental, to be honest.
you can have a little bit of judgment as a treat.
Okay. Just not a full meal.
Yeah, just
Just
not a
not the
full
main
meal.
diet.
But, aside from that, like, just,
Yeah.
if you go to these events, it really depends what your values are, especially if you're bringing kids. Consumption of alcohol is not allowed with the exception of the area where people park. And where people park, it often ends up being sort of like a tailgate party without a sports game happening. And
Really?
yeah, so there's no alcohol consumption allowed. Well, so there will be people
Uh-huh.
who alcohol is a crazy substance. Some
Mhm.
people have long-term dependencies on it where they need it to function,
Mhm.
and these people will probably consume it in their own tent,
Privacy of
and
their own tent or whatever,
and
yeah.
you'll never know.
Yeah.
But the open public consumption of alcohol is very frowned upon in the actual area where the site is, and,
Wow.
you can go about that where, people park. That is where it's, like, designated, like,
Yeah.
that's
That's
okay.
party zone.
Yeah, but, even then, even though I don't like spending a whole lot of time when I go to these events at the parking areas, there's a lot of people who do, and
Yeah.
it's pretty, like, wholesome when you're going through. People will be very, like, nice and welcoming, and they'll wanna offer you gifts, and they might be making grilled cheeses out of their the back of their car and be like, "Hey, are you hungry? Do you want a peach? Do you wanna borrow our
That sounds
wagon to haul
lovely.
your camping gear?" Yeah.
Yeah.
And they say welcome home, and it really feels genuine, like when people are saying that, because for a lot of people, that is their home. Um, there are families and there are orphan kids who graduate out of foster care or don't even do that, and you you find these people who fall through the cracks at these rainbow gatherings, and it is really their only home for some people. Um so, you can go in there and look at it as a big party, but there are some people who, like, this is the only place where they, like, know they're gonna receive human decency and kindness.
Wow.
So, you know, taking that going in it's just it changes how you look at things, and it sort of is getting to
Yeah.
the point of, like, why we're talking about this in relation to Christianity
Yeah,
and
exactly. Like, so start from the beginning and tell me, like, walk me through this trip that you just took.
So, okay, close your eyes. Let's say that imagine we're going to the church camping trip. We're excited, we're packed up, we're driving there. You can see the campgrounds on the right. Everyone's singing, holding hands, and we make a wrong turn. And we're going down a long forest road, long gravel road. There's no sign of human traffic. You're going for miles and thinking like, am I in the right place? Am I gonna get stranded? Is my Honda Accord gonna get stuck in a ditch? There's no phone signal out here. I don't know about this, guys. Maybe a truck will pass you on the other way where the forest road is not very wide. You both have to stop and sort of maneuver
Jockey. Yeah.
without, going over the cliff. And, you'll both stop, roll down your windows. Howdy, good morning, and be like, "Is there something going on over there?" And either they'll be like locals or park rangers, or there'll be people coming from the gathering itself, but
Mm.
they'll be like, "Yeah, the hippies are up there," or, "Yep, it's
Follow the patchouli.
yeah, it's just a mile down," which is
Mhm.
code for it's about 2 to 3 miles down.
Yeah.
Um, and when you're on the roads, you're going like 10, 15 miles an hour. It's all
Mhm.
gravel, a mile is quite a ways.
Mhm.
Um, with the bigger ones, you could be on these roads for like 7 or more miles, and it's a
Mm.
trip.
That's long.
Yeah. And it's like, I do not wanna get stranded or lost out here. I do not wanna get stranded or lost.
Mm-mm.
But then you start seeing signs of something going on, and, you'll run into a line of cars, find a parking spot. It's kinda tricky, sometimes if you don't have four-wheel drive, because you gotta get, like, off of the road, and it's just you gotta find somewhere you can park with
Mhm.
your vehicle capacities, and you do that and you're like, I made it. You start going through your car, putting together your stuff, preparing to, do another voyage on foot into the woods.
Mm.
How long is it going to be? Is it going to be quarter mile? Is it going to be 3 miles? We don't know. Um, Now, with the more local events, it's a lot easier to plan for this and make sure it's a shorter distance. So, accessibility for people who are mobility challenged or
Mm.
like can't otherwise get in
Mhm.
is highly considered. And people do their best.
Yeah.
Literally, like, there will be some people who will get their asses carried in and out
Oh, that's
or
sweet.
or maybe hauled in the back of a wagon or something.
Yeah.
Um, but make sure that it's as accessible as possible.
Mhm.
Um, Somebody might lend you a wagon. There might be people who are helping you carry stuff if you need
Mhm.
it, if you want that.
Yeah.
If you have kids, your kids, especially small kids, I don't know if you know anyone with small kids,
Golly, I
but
I know a couple people.
yeah. But,
Yeah.
they might be riding in the back of the wagons, so you might not have a whole lot of stuff for your
Mhm.
gear. You might just be, like, hauling a 3 or 5-year-old up there, and,
Yeah.
I was about to say earlier, it really depends on your, personal values because there is a lot of pot smoking around. There are sometimes
Mhm.
people who, are engaged in desexualized nudity, but they're a nudist.
Right.
You're in the woods, um and, sometimes that's a deal breaker for people to think about bringing, like, their family or,
Right.
but, some people, it's like, it's not a deal breaker, We all
Mhm.
have a birthday suit or,
Yeah.
I'm not worried about people smoking pot near my
Yeah.
kids. It's really dependent on what your personal values are.
Mhm.
But it's not while the alcohol is frowned upon and not allowed in the
Mhm.
main areas, there isn't really the same thing for, like pot smoking and, it's not a
Mhm.
perfect system, but it's honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I can appreciate that though, because like I know plenty of pot smokers and I know plenty of alcoholics and they're different. They are a different vibe.
it's a different dynamic. I'd rather
Yeah.
be around pot smokers and be annoyed than
Yeah.
around alcohol drinkers.
Yeah. No, I get it. I get it. I get it.
But, this was the first year that I've attended and I've stayed, um, for, like, completely sober the whole time,
Mhm.
and I'm,
Wow.
like, proud of that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, um, but
Yeah,
I'm
so
trying
back
to
back
tie
to this
together
back to this particular trip, this
so
specific trip in the
that being
Nantahala.
said, people are welcome there regardless of where you are at, but if you
Mhm.
start acting up, these sorts of communities are not, beyond duct taping
Sanctioning.
someone to a tree if
Yeah.
they're
Yeah, if they're acting a fool.
I need to open the
Yeah.
door, the cat's running. But, any instances where somebody's been tied to a tree, but I've heard
Right.
stories,
Sure.
until they sober up, like, "We love you, but we're doing
Yeah,
this
you're
for
gonna
your own
cause
good right
harm.
now."
Well,
Yeah.
and for the good of the community.
Yeah.
You if you are gonna cause harm to the community, then we're gonna figure it out
Yeah.
so that you don't harm yourself or others. Yeah.
So, the other element that comes up a lot, with people is, "How do I poop?" or like, like what
You
bathrooms.
said slit trench earlier, and I was already like, "I'm out."
So, you could bring your own, like, camping toilet. You
Yeah,
could but, the thing is, like, don't there's not gonna be, scat in open spaces.
yeah,
Like, it's very much enforced, like, bury your scat. If you bring your pet,
sure.
make sure that you keep an eye on them,
Yeah,
and bury their scat. With,
yeah.
like, a slit trench, I'm gonna give a more, like, graphic description of the logistics of it.
Let's hear it.
Um, they'll find a little remote space, a little island in the middle of the woods, a short trail away, mark it with ribbons, and, there will be generally a slit trench, and you'll have to dig multiple of these throughout the event,
Uh-huh,
and there will be different spaces for it, but let's just say it's one area, and, I don't know what the name of them are, but the shovels for digging big, like,
uh-huh.
trenches, um, it 8 feet wide, 1 foot narrow, 6 or 8 feet deep.
Okay, do not fall in this thing,
Don't
because 'cause you're
fall in.
toast. Okay,
Please don't
yeah.
fall in.
No,
Bring a
it's not a
flashlight if it's
ditch.
dark.
It's not a ditch, it is a giant ass trench. Okay.
Yeah, it is a big trench, and when these are dug, it is a serious, it will take up a whole morning or afternoon, and there will be several
Wow.
people, like, digging.
Uh-huh,
Um, and it's a safety thing. Um if you're if you need, like, a camping toilet, people will bring, like, I have a shower chair,
mhm.
you can't see it with the webcam, I can't turn my computer, but
No,
I
it's
have a
okay.
shower chair over here that I
Mhm.
sometimes use in the shower if I'm in a place where I'm experiencing, like, vertigo or, like, weakness,
Oh,
and I'm
yeah.
like, "I don't wanna fall in the shower, I wanna,
Yeah,
feel safe in the shower."
sure.
There's also, camping toilets like that where it's the
Mhm.
chair
Yeah, yeah. You just poop on it, then
and
dump it out like a chamber pot.
yeah, sometimes people will, like, bring that and just leave it there, so if you need it, you need it, but, it's a good time to, get really good with squatting, otherwise, and,
You sure your quads are ready? Go to the
yeah.
gym for a couple weeks leading up to it.
And there will be the equipment there will be a shovel, a
Uh-huh,
big mound of dirt that's been unearthed, and there's gonna be probably an old coffee container with some toilet paper. There will be another one, maybe with some wood ash, and a spray bottle with diluted bleach water. And the logic is that you cover what you do,
uh-huh.
because otherwise flies,
Flies,
and
yeah,
that's a big public
and
health
smell
thing.
and all that stuff, yeah.
You don't want an outbreak, you don't want people to get sick, you wanna keep people safe. The wood ash helps, keep the flies away, it's a deterrent for them,
Uh-huh.
like, little sprinkle and then cover it with dirt, um, and this system will accommodate
Yeah,
most people's needs. If
yeah.
somebody's coming in and they know they have mobility issues, they're not gonna make it in the morning, up a quarter
Yeah,
mile
yeah.
hike, bring a camping toilet or
Sure.
something,
Yeah.
and, um y you make do with the situation, but, um, the overarching thing is that you wanna make sure that crap is buried
Yeah.
for everyone's safety and health.
Wow. So did you have to bring so did you bring food? Did you what was your level of prepared when you pulled off on the side of the road?
The first
And
several times that I've gone, I brought food. I didn't bring any food this past go. You don't have to bring food. Generally, I'm trying to think of how to paint this. So let's go into more detail about the kitchen. And I could probably
yeah.
share some pictures if you wanted to edit it over, but these kitchens are really, really wonderful and intense. There will be
Mhm.
a whole 8-person tent that is dedicated to supply and pantry, keeping, like, dry goods in there. Generally, with these go-arounds in the local ecosystem, there will be what I call the banana hammocks, which are just rope hammocks that have tons of produce and fruit, and it's the best way that we found to keep the stuff fresh and
Sure.
away from bugs.
Uh-huh.
Um we generally veer away from any sort of meat being prepared or served in the kitchen, and that's not necessarily for hippie reasons, it's for
Uh-huh.
safety reasons
Sure.
because it just
Yeah.
introduces a whole host, but when you're cooking vegetarian, there's a lot less foodborne,
Yes.
pathogenic threats,
Right.
which is, really wonderful. Uh, I would
Well,
not
and
eat
that way it
I would
does
not
make
eat
sure
there
if
if
you're
it was
making a
chicken.
communal meal for all the people, that way you
Mhm.
don't have to worry necessarily about who's
Yeah,
vegetarian and who isn't, and so it's got like a twofold, purpose.
sure.
Interesting.
So,
This is crazy. Like, I
yeah,
wanna go now.
yeah.
Like, this sounds I'm not so certain about the slit tent, but it is what it is. You just figure it out.
You can figure out your own
You just
logistics.
go.
Just make sure you're not breaking the,
Yeah.
Forest Service rules,
Yeah.
having it near, like, a waterway and that stuff's getting buried.
Yeah.
There will be, compost pits as well, and let me tell you, where the compost and the gray water and the poop trenches are, when they get buried and covered at the end of it, and then you come back in a year, if you do come back in a year,
Yeah.
you you might
You
as well
don't know.
plant, like, some watermelon seeds there and just have
Yeah.
I ain't eating those watermelon, but I'm just saying.
But, I mean, there's something to be said about that. There's a it sounds like it's an environment where, like you said, there's an understanding and a respect for the fact that you have a large group of people
Mhm,
coming out into nature and into an ecosystem where there's already waterways and animals and plants and wildlife that has an entire habitat and environment here, and the
mhm,
people are going out of their way, the human beings are going out of their way to set it up in such a way that the human beings participating get a chance to like connect with nature and connect with each other and have this great camping trip and this beautiful communal spirit, which requires one communal kitchen that everybody can eat from and one communal shit tent, which everyone can
yeah,
shit in. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, and everybody leaves, the forest is in just as good a condition, or at least hopefully so. Which is not the case that I've heard with bigger festivals like Burning Man, or like I've heard about, some of the psytrance and music festivals. Again, it sounds like I'm shitting on psytrance festivals. This is really not fair, but I kind of am. Like
there
that the ecological disaster left
so
behind is sort of like antithetical to the idea of reconnecting with nature and getting out of a society in order to eschew some of the trappings of society. Like if you take it all with you and you
mhm,
ruin the natural habitat, like you didn't understand the assignment.
so, there are plenty of historical examples where this hasn't been as good in practice, and, locals will be like, "There's trash left over. This is
Hmm.
a mess." I haven't experienced that. Pretty much the full track record for, like, when I've gone to these events is that the sites get fully cleaned up. People will stay for weeks afterwards, and there is a whole subclass of human beings, I don't wanna just say with this, but especially with this, of people who thrive on sorting trash, cleaning that sort of stuff. I call them the mushroom people. You can call them what you want. I think they exist
I
in
feel
every
like that would be
culture.
my husband. He's always like when he was a kid, like, or I wouldn't say necessarily a child, but they used to have these big festival, the barbecue festival in Tryon, and Dylan was
Mhm.
always like on trash duty. Like he would put together a team of people and just really make sure that like all the trash was picked up, and like, that's something that he feels like he's really good at. He's got a brain for that. And he's like, no, nope, got to pick that up. Like
You'd have a
that
great
he would
time
be a mushroom.
staying,
He would be a mushroom person at these
but,
festivals. Yeah.
it really comes down to you can't control really what other people are gonna do.
Right.
It's really a thing of if you're going in and you're gonna be camping for 8 days, you need to come in with the contagious mentality of leave no trace and
Yeah.
practice it. And, if you put that energy out,
Hmm.
other people will also put that energy out. If you come in with the mentality of, like, someone else is gonna clean this up, it really comes down to and it let's be clear, no matter how good your practices are
Hmm.
ecologically, a bunch of people coming into the wilderness, the forest,
Yeah. Yeah.
national park, and being there for 8 days or more, you're an occupying force
Hmm.
there. And,
Yeah.
I can draw political comparisons to occupations elsewhere, but
Sure.
you just have to sit with that tension. And,
Yeah. Not pretend it's not there or pretend that
yeah,
you're better than it or sit on some kind of high horse like look at me out in the woods camping like cuz
you're an
I don't need my
occupier in
my my internet or
that
whatever.
ecosystem,
You
yeah.
have to sit in the tension of, but you are also causing a certain level of disruption, and that's just the long and the short of it,
But
you
your
know?
decisions matter, and you can see the direct
Yeah.
impact of that, which I think is really important for some people to
Yeah.
experience.
Mhm.
Because we live in a throwaway society. We live in a, uh, uh, um rendition of reality where
Yeah.
we're encouraged to look the other way and not think about the long-term ramifications of our actions and decisions,
Yeah.
and being able to see up front what those ramifications are, I think helps put people in a different mental space that
Yeah.
is more like conducive to being a good neighbor or global
Mhm.
citizen, whatever that may mean. But
Yeah.
your individual choices shape how that experience is going to be. So, are you going to be rambunctious and a terrible occupant, or are you gonna be the change that you wish to see?
Yeah. So then that's the other piece of it. So we're setting up the stage with like the physical environment and all of that. But like let's talk a little bit tell me a little bit more about the spiritual environment, like what you feeling and what you're experiencing on like a personal emotional level when you're in these spaces.
So,
And is that the draw?
I'm gonna be really blunt and transparent. I don't really like what goes on in terms of, like, the spiritual aspect for the most part. There's a lot
Mhm.
of really wonderful experiences, but
Mhm.
for me, at this point, I like the experience of going to the woods, having the quiet of the woods, being
Mhm.
able to, like, do that and not be totally alone in the wilderness. I
Right.
like being able to take off my clothes and dip my
Mhm.
butt in stream water
Yeah.
and have that experience of, like, 40-degree streams every
Mhm.
day, and, and being able to, like, hammock in total quiet in the middle of the woods. I really like those aspects. Generally, there is always gonna be, unless it's, like, pouring rain and it's physically impossible, there's gonna be what's called a heart fire, which is just the fire that goes on the entire time it's there,
Mhm.
so if somebody needs warmth or respite from whatever, the
Mhm.
fire is there.
Dry something out. Yeah.
Yeah. At nighttime, which again, personally, I go to bed at these events pretty much when the sun goes down because 'cause
Mhm.
I'm there to reset my body clock. I don't wanna be out at night. I don't
Mhm.
really value that
Yeah.
experience. There will be
Yeah.
a lot of people who wanna drum by the circle.
Yeah.
There are gonna be people who wanna take hallucinogenic drugs. There are
Mhm.
gonna be people who, want to find
Whatever.
someone
Find a
to smooch
friend.
with.
Yeah,
Yeah,
someone to smooch with. Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
and
But that's
I've
not
been in that
everybody's
place.
vibe, and there
Yeah,
seems to
it's
be,
not
like,
my
no
vibe right
judgment.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can
If
have a
that's not
little
your
judgment
vibe.
as a treat, but yeah.
Yeah.
So the way that I see it is the nighttime, and this isn't a judgment on anyone who, like, is at night. This is my generational. So I'm not Christian. I'm Sephardic
Mhm.
Jewish.
Mhm.
And it's very Sephardic Jewish to be part of a Christian church. It's just
Mhm.
how that's unfolded in America for Sephardic Jews. But I have in my DNA a generational trauma that says, don't go out after dark. And it sort of kicked in my
Sure.
late 20s, early 30s. I don't
Yeah.
like going out at dark. I
Yeah.
see that as when, the bad actors or bad things are most likely to happen.
Yeah. Same, big same.
I don't Yeah.
But
I wanna go to
I'm a
bed.
small female, I'm
Yeah.
5'2", and, yeah, I feel the same way. Yeah.
You've given me, like, 5'3.5" vibe, so that's
Oh my god,
surprising
thank you
news
so
for
much,
me.
I love that. I'll take it.
But
Yeah.
even with all that, I don't feel unsafe hanging out at night. I just
Yeah.
prefer
It's just your
not to.
preference. Yeah.
There's a lot of wholesome things that happen at night, especially in the kitchen. Let me tell you, one of those nights, somebody
Uh-huh.
deep fried Oreos,
Yeah, they
and
did.
they'll make really nice treats late at night because that's when,
Ah, yeah.
yeah,
That's when the
like,
handful of people up and about are gonna get the special treats from the kitchen.
yeah, at some of the, bigger gatherings, there might be a kitchen that, sometimes it's called, like, Love and Ovens, and it's
Mhm.
literally a bunch of ovens set up to do, like, cookies and
Yeah.
baked goods to give
Yeah.
out to potentially hundreds or, like, 1,000 people.
Wow.
So they'll be baking all night.
How many
Now,
people were at this last event you were at and then at Hala? Do you have, like, could you think of, like, a rough estimate, like, number-wise?
do you want the legal answer or the honest answer?
Oh, wow. Dealer's choice.
Alright. The way I think about it is it's going camping with 74 of your closest friends, because
Yeah.
75 or more and you need a permit.
Okay.
I would say that And so this coincides with the summer solstice. It's intended as a prayer for peace, and there are traditions that happen on the day of the solstice or a day close to it that is more accessible for the majority of people. But as you lead up to the solstice, more people will show up. I'd say T minus 7 days,
Uh-huh.
it's probably like 30 or 40 people. And then that number gradually goes up. And
Sure.
by the time you hit the solstice for this particular gathering, I'd say sometimes you have anywhere between 100 and 150.
Wow. That's a lot of
So it's
people.
not it is, but it's
That's a
not.
lot of food. God bless who's ever in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I am
So
telling you. Whoo!
there's a whole series of meetings and logistics that go into
Yeah,
keeping the kitchen going because that kitchen serves 3 hot meals a day and has a snack bar. So if anytime you need something to eat, you can go there and make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or make some coffee or some tea or eat a
that's
granola
really
bar.
lovely.
Yeah. It's
And you
great.
can that sounds really beautiful. It
And
sounds like, I know it just sounds very first century Christian.
it's an experience. It's really an
Wow.
experience, and some people just come for the day of the solstice, which,
Yeah.
I don't know how long you want this to go, but, I can, outline what the schedule is for the day of the solstice.
Mhm.
Um, from the time people wake up to high noon,
Mhm.
it is, intentional silence. People do not speak. You can communicate, you could write, you can gesture, you can whisper.
Yeah, yeah, but the idea, yeah. I
Yeah,
love
but
that.
in public spaces, please don't talk.
Mhm.
We're trying to, observe and appreciate silence. And with kids and dogs, it's another thing, but we do our best. And that will go until high noon. And for high noon, generally there will be a big meal planned and it will be like a breakfast lunch. I don't know if that concept of a breakfast lunch fusion is, I don't know
The
what they call it, but
I don't know if that's quite taken off.
yeah, I don't know either. But,
I would call it, maybe brunch.
or
Wouldn't that
Leckfist,
be
I don't
funny?
know.
Yeah. Bre
I like Leckfist better.
You
But,
like Leckfist?
and there will be,
Yeah.
there will be, like, a light breakfast earlier if people
Yeah.
need, like, some eggs or pancakes or whatever, but for simplicity, big
Big
breakfast,
brunch, yeah.
would you
Big
call it,
Leckfist.
brunch,
Yeah.
whatever, it'll be prepared at the kitchen. There will be some people each gathering that will engage in fasting for days leading up to this. So there
Mhm.
was one young person, I say young, maybe like mid to late 20s.
Yeah.
I don't wanna give their name, but they
Yeah.
fasted for 4 days and they broke it at the high noon ceremony, and, it's a really it takes a lot of strength to do that, because
Sure.
there are a lot of really tasty goods that are
Yeah,
shared.
sure.
So
Yeah, I bet.
but you have the silence going, you have this big meal prepared. Generally, there will be watermelons because it's that
Yeah,
time of
summertime.
year.
Mhm.
And, what will happen is there will be a shell, like a conch blown to indicate, like, we're moving on to this,
Mhm.
and people will move to where that heart fire is, and
Mhm.
all of the kids in there, like trusted grown-ups and people who wanna help, they're gonna go off to another location where they have the costume tent, and the kids are going to find whatever costume they wanna wear, silly, ridiculous
What?
costumes, kazoos, pots and pans.
Shut up.
Oh, no. Uh, so,
Wow.
so we all go to, like the heart fire area. We hold hands. We get ready for the breaking of the silence. And when the silence is broken, it involves all of the kids and their grown-ups and the helpers doing a
Yeah.
little parade with pots and pans and
Yeah, it's
kazoos.
like Whoville on Christmas morning.
It's so great. It's
That
so
sounds
wonderful.
adorable.
It's so adorable, and it's I wanna be careful with this because, you know, you wanna be really careful with, like, photography and stuff. A couple of years ago, I did take a video for the
Mhm.
kids parade, and I haven't,
Mhm.
like, shared it. It's just a personal memory,
Yeah,
but
sure.
it's, it's a thing that happens, and the kids come in, and they come to the, fire area, and we're singing and, we're celebrating them, we're sending them our love. There's a song that, I've heard several years, which I couldn't sing it on the top of my head right here, but
Uh-huh.
I think the line is, "We we love you and we support you to be who you are." I'll
Mhm.
have to find it. I think it's on Rise Up
Aw.
Singing, but, they'll make an inner circle. A bunch of us who are, on the outskirts of it, we have an outer circle, and, we, have, there's like a honoring of the direction ceremony
Mhm.
generally. There's stuff that happens, and
Yeah.
that's ritual and traditional, and it's very wholesome, it's very wonderful, it's very, um, words.
I think you just said it. It's a wholesome, spiritual, connective experience. And it sounds like they're specifically also working, especially on solstice, to integrate and the celebration of like young life and new life and children and the innocence and the fact that the kids are going to carry on the next generation, and it's almost like
Yeah,
handing down a solstice blessing onto the next generation of human beings that are going to be taking over the planet.
but
Yeah, it
yeah, when we
sounds very hippy dippy, but it's like I'm digging it.
like,
It sounds really cool.
when we look at, stuff within our shared faith communities, I
Yeah.
see a lot of overlap in patterns.
Yeah.
And, maybe that's because there are a lot of hippies there. I don't know. But, I like to think just because there is overlap between like the principles of what Jesus taught in
Yeah.
Christianity and what happens there. And there's a lot of songs that are shared in song, and
Yeah.
they're documented places on the internet. Maybe at the end of this, I can put together at a future date a list of some information and resources that could be shared
Oh, yeah, we
in
can
the
put it in the
context
show
of this.
notes.
But,
We can always put it in the show notes if you wanna do that, that'd be great, that'd be fun. Yeah,
yeah,
because it sounds like this is an opportunity. I mean, like, I'm always looking for ways to address like, the trauma that is still residual from high control religion, and,
yeah,
like, sounds like I'm, like, putting together a scenario in my mind where in actually attending an event like this could actually be healing to some of that trauma, because part of that high control religion is a very strong delineation between the us and them. And
I
all the hippies was always the them, you know?
I honestly think if you were to go, you'd have a great time. You might have a panic attack or 2 from
I probably
religion.
yeah, I'll just make
Yeah,
sure that I bring, like, some Valium or something, hide it in my pocket. I don't wanna see wieners, I'll tell you that right now. I
that's
don't.
totally fair. That's I
There's one wiener that I look at anymore, 1.
I'm
So
I'm not gonna comment, not because I don't have the ability to, but because I know
yeah,
that
but
you
if
have a
there's
nice
gonna be, like,
Christian
naked
following
folk, that's
somewhere.
gonna yeah. Oh, no, that's okay, no. My following is a bunch of heretics, we're fine.
Yeah,
But
they
yeah,
wanna
so
see
that's
blood, they wanna see some
they were
skin.
yeah, yeah, they might. Yeah,
I
I don't
don't
know.
know.
So that's gonna be that'd be like my big the only thing I is like if the I even if it's non-sexual, desexualized nudism,
Yeah.
I like that. And I love that, and I love that for other people, like, I love that for y'all, okay?
Mhm.
But, like, for me, I don't love that for me. I
Sure.
don't love that for me, and I don't love that for my 2 small kids.
Totally.
So but
Now
at the
now
same
I will
time
I will also add that there are multiple places where people will build community and camp, and generally at these events, there will be, like, a space that is like a kids village or, like, a more, like,
yeah, where all the family people are,
yeah,
because
and they
all the
might,
ethics are
be
gonna
like,
be a little
"Hey,
more
take
similar.
your nudity and pot smoking over there,"
Yeah,
whatever,
sure. Yeah, and
and
that's not, like, frowned upon. You're not treated like you're some kind of prude because you wanna keep your kids away from
yeah, it's just like, "Do that
dicks and
over there,
drugs.
please."
Aw, I'm not mad at the wieners, it's fine, it's not y'all's fault.
It's not the wiener's
I
fault.
just happen to only have girl children, so it's
Oh,
this tends to be what I focus on there.
well,
Wow.
there are a lot of, for the sake of gender neutrality, I'm gonna
Mhm.
say, boobed people who like walking around without shirts on,
Yeah.
and, the propensity towards desexualized nudity really knows no gender,
Yeah. Yeah.
but No, it's a thing of, like, I imagine, some hot-headed person being like, "How do I explain that to my kids?" And it's like, "What? You naked people?"
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah, you can't.
They
You just
they get that
they
that's a
just
thing,
are.
it's just you don't want them to
Yeah,
see it.
yeah. Well,
Mhm.
and that's also and that's but again, like, it's like, oh my god, like, even as we're talking about it, I'm realizing how deeply my own fundamentalist trauma goes, that's the knee-jerk reaction, you know? And that's my shit. I recognize, like, fully and completely in this moment that that's my shit,
Mhm.
but it's still there, and that this sounds like this would be a good opportunity for me to confront a lot of that. Well, we're gonna have a time at this camping trip at our church. I don't think there'll be any raw dicks at this church camping
I
trip.
really, really hope not. Maybe roasted weenies on the fire.
Yeah, so this will be like, a good opportunity to pretend to camp at a rainbow gathering. At least some elements of it, I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
mix and match. But like, I swear, like, I want to say it out loud. Like, I'll go. Let's go next year.
Yeah, by all means, and if you're like, "Fuck this,"
Yeah,
it's not like it's a 12-hour drive, it's probably gonna be within, like, an
yeah.
hour to 3 hours
Yeah,
away.
just get in the car and go home, you know?
Yeah.
And this trip will be this is our first time camping for Dylan and I. This will be the first time camping with the girls. So it'll be
Mhm.
like a good learning experience for us too and to see like kind of what their resilience is and what their limits are and everything.
Yeah.
And then yeah, and then we'll go from there.
I
Well,
think
cool. Do you have any like final closing thoughts that you want to add about this experience?
Sure. Shameless plug, self-promotion. I have a business where I make apple chips. I
Yeah.
don't know how many I'll be able to make this upcoming season because 'cause I'm one person with a limited amount of dryers and electricity routed to my
Mhm.
house, before the breaker box collapses. But, I do Christmas orders. I have a website, a personal blog. It's mildly irreverent. I can include those details for
Yeah.
Tiziana to
Yeah, we'll put those in the
choose,
show
what to
notes.
yeah, we'll
Yeah,
put
we'll
them
put
in the
that in the
show
show
notes,
notes. We'll link all
but
that to your show notes, and I will say I have
yeah,
had your apple chips, and they're awesome.
they
They're
really are.
very
They're the perfect
tasty.
snack. They
They're
are
great
if
stocking
if
stuffers.
if you've ever heard of cryptocurrency, forget it, everything you know. This is cryptocurrency. It's the money of the future,
It's the wave of the future. Yeah,
but
so folks, if you're interested in learning more about the rainbow gatherings, we'll put a link in the show notes,
or who the
and then
F
we will
I am.
also link April's chips, and we will link April's blog so you can learn a bit more about what's going on over there. But yeah, this was great.
Yeah.
Thanks
I
so
think
much for
that this
sharing
is
this experience.
I had a feeling this would be a good episode.
Oh,
However,
yeah, this is
it
gonna be a
turned
lot
out.
of fun. I really
And
like this.
I'm
This
gonna
is
share
great.
it on my site, so you'll be able to find it, whenever it's
In
posted,
all
I'll
the
find a way
places.
to embed it or link to
Yeah,
yeah,
I love it. Well, folks, thanks again for tuning in. Thanks again to April for sharing this fantastic story. And feel free to drop us a line if you have any personal experiences with the Rainbow Gathering, and we can get like a little conversation started about it. But thanks, y'all, and we will see you folks next time on Notes from the Other Side. Take it easy.
"A great night, you filthy animals." You can edit that out.
No, I'm gonna
That
keep that.
tasteful.
Addie Zierman was the 1990s evangelical poster child.
It felt like God was going to do something on this campus, like revival.
If you feel God calling you right now to serve Him, to follow Him, stand up.
Chris said the Israelites anointed door frames and stuff when they wanted to show that something was sacred. I think it might really make a difference.
What do you want to do with your life, Addie?
I don't want to live a normal suburban life either.
Yeah.
I want to do something great for the Lord.
I guess you never know how people will change.
Do you think Chris would have stayed with you for that long if you hadn't so willingly obeyed him?
God, please help me if you're there. Please help me.
When We Were on Fire. Written by Addie Zierman and adapted by Lizzie Goldsmith. Listen to episode 1 on September 24th at whenwewereonfirepodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.